Welcome back to Hi-B 3D. Today I'm just going to show you a quick run through of my current setup. My wife and I are currently preparing to move into a new house with a lot more space. Right now we're in a townhome, and so I've had to cram my 3D printing setup into a very small space, and you'll see exactly how I've managed to do that. So through the chaos and boxes here, this is our staircase. Comes this Harry Potter closet, which is what I've kind of turned into my 3D print setup. It's nothing fancy. It's crammed into a really small space, and there are a lot of flaws with it that I think will be fixed by having more space as I move into this new house. I'm running a Bamboo Labs A1 combo. This is the standard size A1, so it's got the same bed size as their X1 and P1 series. Some of you may know this printer actually had a recall on it, on the heat bed, the cable for it. Many users had issues with it being faulty and potentially a fire hazard. I check on it regularly to make sure that this machine is running safely, especially because it's in such a small area right underneath our stairs. But I haven't had any issues with it at all. The machine prints beautifully. I did have some layer adhesion issues at first, or some bed adhesion issues at first, but I've started to wash it with a 99% isopropyl alcohol spray, as well as use these microfiber cloths up here to wipe it down after every print, and I haven't had any issues with adhesion since then. So we'll start here on the left is my multi-board. It's nothing fancy. If you watched really early from my videos, you'll see my special eyes here. I encourage you to go back and check that out. It's a fun project. Not the glasses, but what they were for. Anyway, I've got my Beagle Cam set up here. This is a Mintian Beagle Cam, which is currently just being a remote webcam, not actually controlling the printer, because the camera on the A1 also has a lot of issues. I can connect to it maybe 10% of the time, but that's an issue for another day. I'd like to do a full review of this machine later on to kind of share my thoughts with it. Overall, I love it. That's basically it. So all my tools hung up here. I was frequently using Magic Glue to improve my layer or my bed adhesion, but since I have been using isopropyl alcohol, I haven't had to use this hardly at all. Now onto this side. The main issue that I have with this space, not only that it's small, is that it's shared with our water heater, which is a problem for the filament getting wet. It's a very humid environment, and this 3D printer plastic, especially PLA, absorbs a lot of moisture over time if it's not properly stored, and I don't have it properly stored. I don't have the means to do that at this point, but hope to in the future. And so it can come out with a lot of print quality issues on the back end. Well, you notice that these prints have come out pretty nice, and that's because I use that down there is a Sunlu filament dryer. My filament dryer is currently put away because we're getting ready to move, and it will be employed full-time at the new house to make sure that all my filaments that have been open for a while get nice and dry before I store them with some kind of desiccant to keep the moisture out. Now, a lot of this space here is taken up by stock for my sales events. I'm starting to pick up more events as time goes on and as I have the bandwidth for. I do have a full-time job. You can see my money for my sales events guarded by my mini skitty designed by Professor Boots. Really fun project. I might make a video on that in the future. More stock for my events, and in that bag there is all my signs and stuff that are also 3D printed for my booth for those events. Now, the really fun part, besides, the printer itself, is down here, and I'll get on my knees here. All my filament stacked yay high all the way to the back of the wall. Amazingly enough, even before I started doing a 3D printing business, I had a very similar amount of filament, and it was just kind of a money hole for this hobby, and now it's, like I talked about in my last video, an investment. As I push this filament through the extruder on my printer, I want to increase its value. Currently printing our mini trash cans by Mystic Mesh 3D. I'm excited to see how those turn out. Everything I've made from him has been a hit at my sales events. So, lots of filament. Mostly the purpose of this video is... Here, I'll turn this around. The purpose of this video is for future reference of my new setup. It's not going to be perfect right away because there's lots more to do that is going to take up my time. But I think this will be a fun reference to see where I was and where I started with this 3D printing business as or something to look back on from the future, right? So that's it. That's my current setup. If I can make money with this setup, I guarantee that you can make money with your setup. This has been High B 3D. Thanks for joining for the short little vid. Bye.
I forgot to say buzz buzz.